Hey everyone, in today's video, I thought I would do a March update, recap video, something like that. Pretty much talk a little bit about what we accomplished in March. I probably will not touch on every single thing we did because that would make this video really long and it's probably already going to be long. So let me start with kind of the bigger one, and that is, let me see if I can find it here. I thought I had everything organized. Basically, I have a whole bunch of stuff in a bin beside me that we accomplished in March, and I'm just gonna go through and talk about what's in this bin. So if it's not in this bin, there's a good chance I won't remember to talk about it. But the big one is that we did some neuropsych testing for our kids in March, and that kind of affected our schedule a little bit in school because they were like full day testings. Or one of my kids had 2 half days, but honestly, by the time you travel there and back, it's like a full day. The other one was just one big long full day. But anyway, I'm not going to go into like details of their testing, obviously, for their privacy, but I am going to touch on at least one thing, and that's because I have mentioned it before that we suspected that my 12-year-old had dyscalculia, which is a math learning disability. And so that was one of the things in her evaluation that they were looking for. And in addition to that, I mentioned in another video, I don't remember which one, that I also did testing on my kids on their math skills. I administered the ADAM test for them. That's an online diagnostic math test. So both of them did that, and then they both had their neuropsych evals. So the only one that I'm really going to talk about is my 12-year-old. They tested her for dyscalculia, and they felt she did not meet the criteria for dyscalculia. They said, according to the tests that they give, that she was actually pretty close to grade level in math, which is funny to me because we're not doing grade level math this year. Although when I tested her on the ADAM, she had already mastered some 7th grade skills, and that's just because, you know, different math curriculums teach different things in different years, and so it just so happens that some of the things she learned in Math with Confidence this year are technically a 7th grade skill. And when I say a 7th grade skill or a grade level skill, I just mean based on Common Core standards. Now, the testing they did with the educational psychologist, I don't know what kind of tests they're using when they tested her math. But because she tested higher for them than she did, you know, for me. And I was very surprised, actually, at the test results. And it kind of left me with like, what do I do now? Because there is still a struggle there. And where they felt the struggles were coming from is just ADHD. And we do medicate for ADHD in our house. And so they recommended, you know, looking at that, possibly increasing or changing to get an extra little bit of help. And so I'm really focused in now on the executive function portion of ADHD as it relates to math, because that seems to be, I guess, where the biggest problem is. But at any rate, that's something that we did in March, and I wanted to mention it here because I have talked about dyscalculia before. And as I said, I'm shocked that she does not technically have it. They said she didn't meet the criteria. And they just chalk it up to kind of executive function from ADHD. So I've been doing a lot of reading now on, this is just an article that I found to be useful, improving math performance by supporting executive function. They did not have a lot to offer me as far as suggestions, other than medication increasing or changing. But anyway, so I've been focused in a lot now specifically on executive function in math as opposed to dyscalculia. A lot of the stuff is the same though. But anyway, that's kind of where my focus will be heading into April. But that was something that I wanted to touch on because I have mentioned it before. That's something we did in March. And yeah, so where does that leave me with it? I don't know. Back to the research portion of my homeschool mom life. So anyway, that's one thing. You know, are the tests accurate? I don't, you know, I guess it is, right? They're the professional. So I don't know. I am surprised though. I guess I don't have much more to say on that, or I have too much to say on that and I'll take the whole video. Okay. We have been working through Rad American History A to Z this year. Actually, we just finished this today. We finished Z. This should have taken us to the end of the year, but we decided to start doing it more frequently. We've been doing it in the morning before we start our individual work. So we did finish that. We used Mitten Bloom's Power of the People along with it. And my kids really like this. My daughter especially really enjoyed this. I've shared about it in other videos, but I really think that this is a good curriculum. And I think you could really build this out into more. We just did very basic level stuff. We read what was in the book. Sometimes we would watch a video, just depended. They didn't do the coloring pages ever. We would usually do like the vocabulary and the questions, and then whatever the other little activities that they may have included, they would do those. But anyway, they really liked it, and I wish there was something that I could do next with this, because this was a good fit for us. So, but we are done. We continue to work on our states and regions study. I believe, I want to say at this point we have six states left, I think. So we're winding that up too, or winding that down, I guess would be the more appropriate way to say that. We're also working through Short and Curly Guide to Life this month, and well, not just this month, but as of right now, this week, we are starting on the chapter called Trends, so you can see kind of where we are in the process. This is what we still have left to do. So again, they like this. We just do discussions. I don't do any other activities with this. We just all read it individually, and then we come together and we talk about it. So that's been going well. Our immigration unit, we have finished. What's in here? Oh, this was one of the last things we did. We looked at political cartoons related to immigration. Those were some that I had printed out in there. The only thing that we didn't do, let me say this. I made a whole other video with my resources for this unit. I was not super organized in my presentation of this unit to my kids. For whatever reason, it just was a lot for me to wrap my brain around. And so I didn't always, each week, I didn't always theme a whole bunch of things together. We always read what was in here, and we did one of the activities. And then in that video that I made with the immigration resources, we read all of the books I shared in there except for two. I think the Circuit, they weren't interested in reading. And then the George Takei one, I decided to save for next year for my daughter when she does U.S. history. So anyway, so we did a lot of reading. We did a lot of reading in here. This I read out loud to them. Most of the other things they read themselves, and then we talked about it. But this I read aloud to them. And the only thing in here that we did not finish yet, well, not finished, we're letting it springboard us into another little mini study, and that is about kind of like civic action and protest. There was a page in here, civic action. So this we're kind of letting lead us into just some, like a little mini study on protests. My kids are very interested in making protest posters and going to a protest, so I got this book from the library that we are going to just read a little bit each day. It's called Rise Up, The Art of Protest, and it goes through different like topics of protest or different things people protest. So we have like women's rights, racism, and peace. These are nice because there's not like a ton of reading. There's just little bits of reading that I can do each day. And then there's some really great like artwork and stuff included. So this will take us into April. And we've also been doing, as one of our read alouds, the Parker Inheritance. And this has kind of flashes back to civil rights times. And so it kind of pairs well with talking about protests or some of the reasons for protests. So we haven't finished this yet, but we should finish it soon. So that kind of all goes together. All right. Very little with art or scrapbooking in March. Did we do any? I'm not sure. If we did, I didn't put any samples in my bin here, but I'm hoping to kind of do more of that in May when we have a little bit more time. So at any rate, okay, let's talk about some individual subjects for my kids. I don't know that I ever showed this very much, but this was, it's actually 3rd grade, but I'd had it for my daughter. She never used it. And then my son started, I think last summer, and he really enjoyed it. So he actually just finished this. He would just do little bits of it here and there when he needed to be working on something, like if he was waiting on me. He also finished Fix-It Grammar Level 1. He's very excited to be done with this for the year. So that's finished. He was doing this music word speller book to learn how to like read and write music as part of like his piano this year. And so he finished that in March. Doing a lot of writing this month. And we've been using WriteSource, which I've done videos about, and we've been using Hearth and Story 5th grade writing as well. Because he will be doing the 6th grade writing for Hearth and Story next year, I wanted to work through this just a little bit to make sure that he's like ready to take on the 6th grade level work next year. So we've been kind of using a bunch of different components just to kind of scaffold the learning for him a little bit. And we also use this pack from Teachers Pay Teachers. It's from the Teacher Next Door. I always have a link down in the description that just, it's a links to a list of all the products that I have bought and or used for this current school year.
From Teachers Pay Teachers.
So if you're ever wondering about something that I show in a video from the 2024-2025 school year, it would be in that link. Usually, I may have forgotten one or two here and there, but usually that's where they are. So anyway, yeah, he's done a lot of writing. He's written at least, oh wait, are there any other sources I've used? Oh, we used some things from this pack that I had when we did our persuasive writing. This was a pack from Teachers Pay Teachers that I had purchased a while ago, maybe even in a previous school year. We did, what do you think? I had another pack that I used called Writing Battles. And we used a little bit for that for the persuasive essay that he did as well. He did a lot of writing. We used a lot of different resources. He did a paper about 3 jobs that he's interested in, a little essay about that. He did just a paragraph reader's response to a novel that he read. He wrote a persuasive essay. He did another book response to, this was more of an essay, like a 5-paragraph essay to another book that he read. So yeah, he did a lot of writing in the month of March. He also finished up, this was a pack I had for him. This company no longer exists, but it was called, the company was Curriculum and Culture, and this was Slam Dunk Vocabulary. So there were different basketball stars, there was an article, and then there were vocabulary pages. He finished the last one of that in March, early March, I think. And then lastly for him, he did a beekeeping unit study from Harbor and Sprout. He really enjoyed this. He He read through every module. We did some notebooking activities and things within the different modules. He also read this novel to go along with it. He really liked this. I had him write summaries of each chapter as he read it, and then we used that in his writing to do kind of a book response, a reader's response to the novel. That was a 5-paragraph essay that he did, but we just took what we did here and applied it into our writing. He did a lot of little kind of fun little things in here. I don't want to show too much of his work, but anyway, this was really good. He really enjoyed this. He learned quite a bit, even though he already knew a lot. He learned quite a bit. He did a tasting of different honeys that we got from a local bee farm, and we compared them. He got 4 different honeys. He used this little thing to kind of, they were different. They were all different colors, and he wrote down things like how it smelled, the texture, the taste, the color. We had a buckwheat honey, some of their mixes. One was like a spring honey. I think we had a clover honey and a fall, which was another one of their mixes that was multiple flowers. Anyway, he really enjoyed that. And then we also made some little beeswax candles. This one needs its wick trimmed. Anyway, they really actually enjoyed doing these. They cut out the wax and made shapes and stuck them on and things. So that was just it all around. That was a fun unit. Okay, I think that's everything for him. My 7th grader, I feel like I don't have as much to talk about for her. She also finished her Fix-It Grammar. She was doing Robin Hood, so that's done. She worked through this book called Think for Yourself, The Ultimate Guide to Critical Thinking in an Age of Information Overload. And she really enjoyed that. So she finished that. She finished Day of Pleasure in Lightning Lit. And she just did the comprehension questions. We kind of left everything else out in this. She's also doing IEW structure and style for writing right now, and she finished weeks 19 and 20, I believe, in March. May have been one other one. I think that was it, though. So that was good. She finished Matthew C. Gamma. We will be finishing up Delta here pretty soon, and then she will move on to Epsilon. We're just using this as a supplement to our regular math, just for her, for extra practice. Anyway, that went well. Still working through Latin. We decided to take out the history portion of Latin and just focus on the language portion, just to make it a little easier for us to get finished this year. We also worked on this ferret ecology unit from Royal Fireworks Press a lot in March, but she's not finished yet. She still has to do her final project, which she's working on this week. This is where a lot of our science came from in March, because she had already finished Science Mom Bio 1 and Bio 2 for the year. But she really enjoyed this, and like I said, she's just finishing up that final project, which won't be until the end of the first week in April. So likely I will talk more about this in my April recap video. And then probably the last thing for her would be Curiosity Chronicles. I just made a review of Curiosity Chronicles, Snapshots of Modern History. So I won't go into a ton of detail, but I mentioned in there, we are only going through chapter 32, and then we are stopping for the year. We're going to really kind of spend some more time. Chapters 31 and 32 are kind of the history of women's rights and things like that. And so that's going to be what we're going to end with. And then some of the other topics are still important, but we're just not going to do them. I did get some books about the Panama Canal, because I think that could become important in current events here real soon. So I did get her a couple books about Panama and the Panama Canal to just read, but we're not going to officially cover that in Curiosity Chronicles. So we will finish with chapter 32. That gives us some time to really go back through and work on reviewing. So I feel like we did finally get to a good place where I'm happy with how we're studying each chapter and our note taking. We did go back and do Oh, I don't know where it is. I spent some time reviewing Cornell notes with her. We had started those with Curiosity Chronicles earlier in the year. I had a whole packet here to show you, but now I don't know where it is. But anyway, I went back and we spent some more time with the how-to portion of Cornell notes and really worked with those quite a bit. And I think we both much better understand how to do them now, and they're benefiting her in that history. So the kind of the way we have it worked right now when we do a chapter in Curiosity Chronicles is the first day she reads the chapter on her own, and she does like just the vocabulary section from the student activity book. And then the second day we listen to the audio and we take Cornell notes based on the audio. And I do that with her because I still think it's something that needs to be modeled. And then we go through and answer the comprehension questions. I type them out on a separate sheet of paper because, as I mentioned in my review of Curiosity Chronicles, there's not enough room here to write anything worth writing. And it's just frustrating. So we do that sometimes we do the questions on the second day when we do our Cornell notes. Sometimes this moves to a third day. And then the fourth day, we would do like an activity or something that goes with it. What we added in March, and it's carrying over into April, was the chapters 31 and 32. Those are both in one section, and they're both on the same kind of topic. So I found a crash course video that she watched that went with it. And then she's been reading a couple books, just a chapter a day, to kind of expand on what she learned in the textbook. So she's reading this one right now called Roses and Radicals, the epic story of how American women won the right to vote. And she will finish this week, like the first week of April. And then she's also reading this one called We Want Equal Rights. And she's enjoying this so far as well. She'll finish this week too. And then she has this one for when she's finished. She's really excited to start this graphic novel. But so that's kind of how we are finishing up Curiosity Chronicles and kind of what we did in March to kind of get to this point. Hopefully, I feel like I was a little kind of out of order in how I explained that. But yeah, we spent March really kind of figuring out or fine-tuning, I guess, our Cornell note-taking, and we are really to a good place now with answering these comprehension questions. So that's really good. We worked on that a lot in March, and we're just really putting into these last two chapters. I feel like I organized these last two chapters in a way that I wish I had organized every other section of 2 chapters throughout the rest of the year, but it's fine. I eventually got there. So yeah, we did a lot in March as far as getting to a good place. And now heading into April, we will go back and start to kind of refresh what we learned in some other chapters and do a little bit more work with that. So that's mostly it for her. She finished the Learn to Draw in 30 Days book, but I don't remember if that was February or March that she finished that. I think it may have been February. We're still just plugging along with Math with Confidence, grade 6. We are starting Unit 12 this first week in April, and we're waiting for Unit 13 and 14 to come out, and then we will finish those. So yeah, I think that's everything that I can remember to talk about. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I would love to chat with you down in the comments.